Hello students, welcome to Takshasila IAS Academy Current Affairs Practice Series. In this series, we discuss both prelims and mains questions from the current affairs. So let's see the today's question. Discuss the importance of strengthening public health institutions in achieving universal health coverage in India. How can the digital health initiatives complement but not replace the robust public health care system? As you listen to this today's editorial in the current affairs discussion, you can easily write this question. Okay. So if you didn't listen to that video, please listen to the video and then try to answer by yourself own. Okay. So before writing any answer, the first step is to understand what the examiner is asking. So first we have to look at the keywords in the question. Okay. So try to identify the keywords in the question. Yes, here the keywords are the public health institutions. Public health institution is a one keyword, and also universal health coverage. So this is a second keyword, and the digital health initiatives. Digital health initiatives and also complement, not replace. So this is the main keyword. So your answer should around these keywords. Okay. So now ask yourself, what is the demand of the question here? So the demand of the question in this particular question is, it has two parts. Okay. The first part is asking, why are public health institutions important for achieving this universal health coverage? Okay. Second part is asking about, can the digital health replace hospitals or doctors? Can the digital health replace the hospitals and doctors? Yes, the answer is no. So digital health can only support the healthcare, not replace it. So now try to make a mind map in yourself. How can you proceed with the answer? Okay. So let's see a rough mind map. So the question is about UHC, universal health coverage, and digital health in India. So first they are asking about the importance of public health institutions in creating this UHC. So the first thing you should write about this importance, and also the second part they're asking about the digital health. So what is the role of digital health initiatives, and at the same time you also have to said about the limitations of the technology and conclude it with the integrated or a balanced approach. So this is how you can simply make a structure it. Okay. This mind map should be done roughly in your brain or at the rough section of your paper. Okay. So now you should try to define the question. So how you are going to define? As I said, the classical structure would be introduction, body and conclusion. So you have to think, what are the points that I can write in the introduction, body and the conclusion. So first start by defining this UHC. Okay, in the introduction, start write about this universal health coverage, what it means. Like you can write, every person should receive the quality health care. That is what WHO defines, right? Without suffering the financial hardships. So write about this UHC one or two lines and try to connect this UHC with the Indian healthcare system. So that will gives you a short introduction. Okay. So here if you see, then you think of body point, how the body should be of 2 points. Why public health institutions are important and how it is creating this UHC, and then explain about the digital health and say, why can't the technology replace the healthcare? So this is how you can write the body point, and in the conclusion you can end positively. So this is the basic structure of the question you can give for this question. Okay, here if you see also, this is India's path to universal health coverage, balancing institutions and innovation. So what are the different points? How can you connect or bridging this points, right? See, let's see the introduction. You can write the introduction like this. Universal health coverage aims to ensure that every citizen receives quality health care without financial hardship. Even you can mention according to the WHO also. It can give you a good impression. The WHO says this about universal health coverage, and regarding this only, India has developed this Ayushman Bharat, digital health and all these schemes. And also we already discussed about this ABHS card also, right? You can mention all of them in your introduction. So, and also at the same time try to link it with the Indian perspective. So while the digital health initiatives like Ayushman Bharat digital mission improve the efficiency, strong public health institution, it remains a foundation of accessible and equitable healthcare. So a short two-line definition is enough. Then go for the body part. How can you write? The question is demanding two aspects, right? So the first one, how the public health institutions creates this UHC. You can write like this: importance of strong public health institutions. Think of the points. Think of the points by your own first. So before seeing or listening to the explanation, think of the few points by yourself. So what is the importance of the strong public health institutions? See, it ensures affordable and accessible healthcare, especially these public health institutions in the rural and undeserved areas. And also it strengthens this preventive, promotive, curative and rehabilitative health services. And also it reduces out-of-pocket expenditure and improved health equity. And it enhances the preparedness against public health emergencies such as pandemics. And also it improves the maternal, child health, immunization and as well as disease surveillance. It's a few lines about the importance. Later discuss about the role of digital, the second part of the question, the role of digital health initiatives. We already discussed this ABHA. The digital health IDs like ABHA enables a seamless access to medical records. Even the telemedicine improves healthcare access in the remote regions. Even electronic health records, they also ensures continuity of care. The recent AI and the digital platforms also supports the diagnosis, monitoring and efficient service delivery. So write all the recent initiatives and the technology that is being integrated in a health sector. Okay, have a look on the recent initiatives also. Okay, write about these points. Now the major point is now the major point you need to address, yes, the technology is okay. The technology is okay. What it is important? Infrastructure is the first preference. Later only you need to go for technology. If there is no infrastructure, technology available, there is no use. That is what the article is saying if you listen to that current affairs class. So that is the same point here in the question is also asking. So that is what you have to mention here. However, technology cannot replace institutions. The digital platforms, yes, cannot substitute the hospitals, doctors, nurses, medicines and diagnostic facilities. Weak primary healthcare infrastructure limits the benefits of digital initiative. Digital divide and low digital literacy may also exclude this vulnerable populations, especially the people who doesn't know about this literacy and digital literacy, they may affect, right? And so you can write your own limitations, your own points also. Okay. So this is how you can structure an answer. UHC and digital importance. You write about public health importance and the digital health initiatives and the limitations of the technology, and finally in the conclusion you have to provide here the solution, because it is just a 10 marker, right? So you have to provide solutions here. If it is a 15 marker, you put a way forward solution, you write few points, and then you in the conclusion also you will say. But it is a 10 marker as it was been provided only 2 pages, right? The limited space only 150 words. So you mention the conclusion here only. As I said, always try to mention positively balanced perspective. Here in this scenario, you should use the balanced approach. Okay. So India should strengthen public health infrastructure while using the digital technologies, because both are important. Digital technology is important and as well as infrastructure is also important. That's the point you should mention here. So digital health should act as an enabler rather than a substitute for public health care. So strengthening primary healthcare institutions while integrating technology. Yes, this is essential to achieve universal health coverage and ensuring the inclusive, affordable and quality healthcare for all. Okay, so this is the first question. Okay, and practice by yourself. Okay, see the next question. So the question is asking about the industrial decarbonization is essential for achieving India's net zero target by 2070. This is a good question for environment. Environment GS3. Okay, so examine the challenges in India's current industrial climate strategy and suggest measures for an effective low carbon industrial transition. So as I said, first identify the keywords in the question, what the question is asking. So two things you should identify while seeing a question. First, we have to identify the important keywords. So these keywords you should answer in your intro body conclusion. The mention of these keywords and the information should revolve around the keywords. That's why you should identify the keywords. Next, you should understand the demand of the question. You shouldn't write everything what you know. What exactly is asking, that is what you have to write. So these two things first you have to identify while seeing a question. So here try to identify the keywords. Yes, here the keywords are industrial decarbonization and also net target zero by 2070. And they're asking the challenges. So the challenges and also asking the suggest measures. Okay. So two things they have been asked, and they're also saying, see, the directive word like examine. Examine means you have to totally examine. How an examiner examines you, right? He sees everything. He says some good points, bad points, like the pros, cons. He will give some solutions, right? Like that, everything you have to examine here. So here, so you should explain the issue in a complete detail and analyze and give the solutions. So this is what the directive here. Okay, so here two things were being asking in the demand of the question. They're asking about the challenges and also the measures also. So along this is what your body should mention. Along with this, you have to tell the net zero targets of industrial decarbonization in achieving India. That also need to be mentioned in your introduction and give some solutions in a conclusion part. So this is how you can simply structure a question, right? See, take a rough mind map, okay, before going to the question. See, the question is asking about the India's industrial decarbonization. So first, why the decarbonization is important? You have to measure. As the question is asked, the challenges and measures, you have to write this. And in the conclusion, you should give the future outlook, okay? So this is see in the picture itself also, India's industrial decarbonization, the path to net zero 2070. See, these are the different challenges like policy and data level gaps, high barriers to adoption, limited MSME engagement. You can give some measures like strengthen market mechanism, accelerate green technology, and also empower small enterprise. So you can write introduction like this. You can mention about the introduction about, first you can start with the industrial decarbonization. What is meant by this industrial decarbonization? So you just simply define it like reducing greenhouse gas emissions from industries through cleaner technologies and energy efficient production, right? So this definition you can mention them and also try to mention how India has been committed to achieving this net zero by 2070. So that points should be there in the introduction like this. So India has committed to achieving the net zero emissions by 2070, making industrial decarbonization a key pillar of its climate strategy. Since the industrial sector contributes over 1/5 of India's greenhouse gases emissions, reducing industrial emissions is essential for your sustainable economic growth for India. So why it is important also you mention in the introduction. So as the question is asking about the challenges in India's industrial climate strategy, so think of the points. Think of the points by yourself. What are the challenges that India is facing in the climate strategy, right? So large industrial emission remains outside clearly defined policy coverage. There is non-specific industries, the lack of sector-specific emission reduction targets, limited availability of transparent and disagreed emission target, heavy dependency on the fossil fuels, slow adoption of low carbon technologies, weak monitoring, and even you can write here also lack of transparency. Lack of transparency is also one such. You can write your own points. No awareness, limited awareness and participation among MSMEs. So all these are the multiple problems. See, note that these are the problems, not the solutions. So first you have to write about multiple problems like high cost, and many industries are outside effective policy coverage, weak monitoring mechanisms, Okay, think of the points by yourself. Don't, there's nothing like you should write these points only, you can write your own points. Okay, so these are some of the points. Okay, see the next, in the next part you can mention the measures for an effective low carbon transition. So as the question is asking about the measures also, so try to give the measures, write some practical solutions. What would be the solutions that we can provide in this scenario, like by promoting the renewable energies, right, and green hydrogen, and also expanding this, we discussed about the carbon credit trading scheme and the pat schemes, right. So we can strengthen these schemes, and also sectors specific decarbonization roadmaps, and also improve transparency. See, one trick or help that I can say is, whenever whatever the problems you have written, no, try to see the one problem, and from the problem itself you can give the solution, right. For example, in the last slide, I said there is a lack of transparency. I said there is a lack of weak monitoring. So, in the solution part, no, you write there should be a strict monitoring measures. The transparency should be strengthened. So, the problems itself you can write in the measures. Okay. So, that is one simple trick you can use whenever you don't have points. Okay. So, this is how you can give some of the measures, and in the finally you can conclude. So before concluding, let's see the whole structure of the question. So this is India's industrial decarbonization. You are talking about why it is important, because India is targeting for a 2070 net zero target and sustainable economic growth, and we see what are the challenges and the measures. The challenges like policy and data level, economic and technical challenges, measures we will be taking, and finally we've been giving this conclusion. So in the conclusion, try to end the conclusion again positively, right. You can conclude that India's climate goals and economic growth should progress together. Yes, because again this is a classical example of economics versus environment. So in this scenario, the balance is the solution. Balance is the solution. Okay, that is what you have to write. India's industrial and climate action must progress together. A transparent, data driven, technology enabled industrial climate strategy will help India achieve its net zero target while maintaining the economic competitiveness and sustainable development. Okay, so here these are the two main questions for the today's class, and let's go for the prelims question. So these questions you have to answer. Okay. See the question. With reference to Foreign Contributions Regulation Act FCRA 2010 and recently the amended rules, consider the following statements. Again, this question directly I have discussed in the today's class about this Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Let's see the statements. NGOs receiving the foreign contributions must register under one of the specified categories such as social, educational, cultural and economic or religious. See the second statement. The amended rules requires NGOs to disclose their websites, social media accounts and publications while seeking or maintaining registrations. Under the FCRA, regulations of foreign contributions is administered by the Ministry of Finance. Which of the statements given above is or correct? Take 5 seconds, try to solve this question. Yes. So here the answer is 1 and 2. Third statement is wrong. Okay. So let's see why third statement is wrong. First statement is correct because NGOs, according to the new rules, NGOs must operate within the specified categories and approved activities. The second statement also correct because NGOs under the present reform, the law has been reformed, right? So it requires to disclose the website, social medias and all. Third statement is incorrect because see, in the question they are saying it is under the Ministry of Finance. So this is wrong. It is not under the Ministry of Finance, it is under the Ministry of Home Affairs. I already in the current affairs class also I kept the picture of Amit Shah also, because I already said this is under the Ministry of Home Affairs, and ministries are a classic UPSC traps. So if you see the PYQs, if you analyze the PYQs, there are so many questions where the ministries have been replaced a lot in making a statement wrong. So see the ministries properly while you are learning anything in the current affairs. Okay. So that's why the first statement is wrong. See the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the International Maritime Organization. Okay, so it is a specialized agency of United Nations responsible for maritime safety, security and prevention of marine pollution. It regulates ownership and registration of all merchant ships worldwide. It develops international conventions relating to the safety of life at sea and marine environmental protection. Which of the statements are correct? Take 5 seconds and try to solve this question. Yes. So here the answer is A, 1 and 3. The second statement is wrong. Let's see why that statement is wrong. So the first one is correct because IMO is under the UN specialized agency only. Second statement is incorrect because in the second statement, see, it is saying that IMO regulates the ownership and registration of all merchants. It is not, because ship registration and ownerships are governed by the individual flag states, not by the IMO. Okay, that's why the second statement is wrong. So the third statement is correct because it develops the international conventions. The conventions like Marpol Convention, SOLAS Convention. The SOLAS Convention is for safety of life at the sea. Marpol is for the marine pollution. So IMO develops these conventions such as this SOLAS and Marpol. So here UPSC frequently try to confuse this IMO's role with the sovereign power of the flag states. This is the classical UPSC trap here. Okay, so that's why 1 and 3 are correct. Second statement is wrong. Okay, so students, these are the today's questions from the current affairs. Hope you like the class, and thank you for listening and all the best.